My name is Emma Johnson. I'm 32 years old, sitting in my small apartment in Chicago, staring at the rain outside. The sound of it hitting the window feels like my heart, soft, steady, but heavy. I wasn't always like this, lost in thoughts and regrets. There was a time when I was full of hope, dreaming of a perfect life with the man I loved. His name was Ryan Carter, and I thought he was my forever. But now, every time I think of him, my chest tightens and I whisper to myself, I regret marrying him. Let me take you back to where it all started. I was 22, fresh out of college, working my first job at a coffee shop in downtown Chicago. Life was simple. I lived with my best friend Mia in a tiny apartment. We laughed about boys, ate too much pizza, and planned our big dreams. I wanted to be a writer, maybe for a magazine or a blog. I loved words, how they could paint pictures or break hearts. But back then, I was just a girl pouring coffee, smiling at customers and hoping for something exciting to happen. One rainy afternoon, Ryan walked into the coffee shop. He was tall, with dark hair and green eyes that sparkled when he smiled. He ordered a black coffee, no sugar, and made a joke about the weather. Is it always this gloomy in Chicago, or did I just bring the storm with me? He said, grinning. I laughed, my cheeks warm. He was charming, the kind of guy who made you feel like you were the only person in the room. Ryan came back the next day and the day after that. Soon he was a regular. We talked more each time. He was 25, working as a junior architect, full of big ideas about designing buildings that would change the world. He was passionate, confident, and made me feel special. One day he asked me out. My heart raced as I said yes. Our first date was perfect. He took me to a small Italian restaurant. We shared pasta, laughed about our worst high school moments, and walked along Lake Michigan under the stars. When he kissed me goodnight, I felt like I was in a movie. Emma, he said, you're different. You're real. I believed him. I fell hard. We dated for 2 years. Ryan was everything I thought I wanted. He was funny, smart, and always knew how to make me smile. He'd leave little notes in my bag, like, you're my sunshine, or can't wait to see you. My friends loved him. My mom adored him. He's a keeper, Emma, she'd say. I thought so too. But there were small signs even then that I ignored. Ryan could be moody sometimes. If he had a bad day at work, he'd shut down, barely talking. Once, when I spilled wine on his favorite shirt, he snapped at me, his voice sharp like a knife. Can't you be more careful, Emma? He said. I apologized, feeling small. But then he'd hug me, say he was sorry, and I'd forget it. Love makes you blind, doesn't it? By 24, I was head over heels. Ryan proposed on a snowy Christmas Eve, down on one knee in front of a twinkling tree in Millennium Park. Emma, you're my home, he said. Will you marry me? Tears streamed down my face as I nodded. The ring was simple, a small diamond, but to me it was everything. I said yes, and the world felt perfect. We got married 6 months later, in a small church with white flowers and fairy lights. I wore a white dress, my hair in loose waves, and Ryan looked so handsome in his suit. We danced to our favorite song, Perfect by Ed Sheeran. I remember looking into his eyes thinking, this is it. This is forever. I had no idea how wrong I was. The first year was okay. We moved into a small house in the suburbs. I got a job at a local magazine, writing small articles about food and travel. Ryan was busy with his architecture firm, working late most nights. I didn't mind. I was happy, cooking dinner, decorating our home, dreaming of kids and vacations. But slowly things changed. Ryan started coming home later. He'd walk in, toss his keys on the counter, and barely say a word. When I asked about his day, he'd mumble, "It's fine," and turn on the TV. I tried to make him laugh, like we used to, but he'd just nod or give me a half smile. I told myself he was stressed. Work was hard. He'd get better. But deep down, I felt a crack forming in my heart. One night, I found his phone on the couch. A message popped up from someone named Jess. My stomach twisted. I didn't want to snoop, but my hands moved before my brain could stop them. The messages were flirty. "Miss you," she wrote. "When can we meet?" My heart sank. When I asked Ryan about it, he got angry. "It's just a coworker, Emma. Why don't you trust me?" His voice was loud, his eyes cold. I backed down, crying alone in our bedroom. I wanted to believe him. I loved him. But that was the first lie. And it wasn't the last. The next 2 years were a slow unraveling. I tried so hard to keep our marriage together. I cooked Ryan's favorite meals, planned date nights, even suggested therapy. But he was slipping away, like sand through my fingers. He'd come home smelling of perfume I didn't wear. He'd leave his phone face down, password protected. When I asked questions, he'd snap, "Stop being so paranoid, Emma." I started to doubt myself. Was I crazy? Was I pushing him away? I stopped writing for the magazine. The stress was too much. I couldn't focus on words when my world was falling apart. Instead, I took a job at a bookstore, shelving novels and helping customers. It was quiet, peaceful. But at home, the silence was heavy. Ryan and I barely talked. We'd eat dinner across from each other, the only sound the clink of forks. I'd lie in bed at night, staring at the ceiling, wondering where the man I loved had gone. One day, I found a receipt in his jacket pocket. A hotel, 2 nights. My hand shook as I held it. I waited for him to come home, my heart pounding. "Ryan," I said, holding up the receipt. "What's this?" His face went pale, then red. "It's for work," he lied, his voice sharp. "Why are you always digging through my stuff?" I wanted to scream, to cry, but I just stood there frozen. I didn't know who he was anymore. The worst came a month later. I was cleaning the house when I found an email on his laptop. He'd left it open, careless. It was from Jessica, his coworker. The email was long, full of words that broke my heart. "I love you, Ryan," she wrote. "When are you leaving her?" I felt like I couldn't breathe. My legs gave out and I sank to the floor, sobbing. He was cheating. He'd been cheating for months, maybe longer. When Ryan came home, I confronted him. I was shaking, tears streaming down my face. "How could you?" I screamed. "How could you do this to me?" He didn't deny it. He just stood there, hands in his pockets, looking at the floor. "I'm sorry, Emma," he said finally. "I didn't mean for this to happen." Didn't mean for it? Like it was an accident? I wanted to hit him, to make him feel the pain I felt, but I just cried harder. We tried to fix it. Or at least I did. Ryan said he'd end things with Jessica. He promised to be better, to be the man I married. I wanted to believe him so badly. We went to therapy for a few months. He said all the right things, how he loved me, how he'd messed up, how he'd change. For a while, it felt like we were healing. He'd hold my hand again, kiss my forehead, tell me I was beautiful. I thought we were okay. But lies have a way of coming back. 6 months later, I saw a text from Jessica again. "I can't stop thinking about you," it said. My heart broke all over again. I packed a bag that night and left. I drove to Mia's apartment, crying so hard I could barely see the road. She held me as I sobbed, telling her everything. "You deserve better, Emma," she said. "You always did." I filed for divorce a week later. Ryan didn't fight it. He signed the papers, his face blank like I was a stranger. The man I'd loved, the man I'd married, was gone. Or maybe he was never real to begin with. Divorce is like a storm. It tears everything apart, and when it's over, you're left picking up the pieces. I moved into a small apartment, just me and a few boxes of clothes and books. The silence was deafening. I'd wake up in the middle of the night, reaching for Ryan, only to remember he wasn't there. I'd cry until my eyes were swollen, wondering what I'd done wrong. I felt like a failure. Everyone else seemed to have perfect lives, happy marriages, cute kids, Instagram-worthy vacations. And here I was, 28, divorced, alone. My mom tried to cheer me up. "You're young, Emma," she'd say. "You'll find someone new." But I didn't want someone new. I wanted the life I'd dreamed of, the one I thought I'd have with Ryan. Work at the bookstore became my escape. I'd lose myself in novels, stories of love and adventure. Customers would ask for recommendations, and I'd smile, pretending I was okay. But inside, I was crumbling. I stopped eating much. I'd forget to sleep. My reflection in the mirror looked like a ghost, pale, tired, empty. One day, a customer changed everything. Her name was Lily, an older woman with kind eyes and silver hair. She came in every week buying poetry books. One day, she noticed my red eyes. "You okay, sweetheart?" she asked. I nodded, but tears spilled out. She sat with me, listening as I poured out my heart. Ryan. The cheating, the divorce, the pain. She didn't judge. She just listened. "You're stronger than you know," Lily said. "This pain? It's not your fault. It's his, and you're going to come out of this better." Her words stuck with me. For the first time, I felt a spark of hope. Maybe I wasn't broken. Maybe I could heal. I started small. I joined a writing group, meeting other people who loved words like I did. I wrote poems about heartbreak, about losing myself, about finding my way back. Sharing them was scary, but the group cheered me on. "You're so talented, Emma," they'd say. Slowly, I started to believe them. I also started therapy. My therapist, Dr. Patel, was patient and kind. She helped me see that Ryan's cheating wasn't about me. "You can't control someone else's choices," she said. "But you can control how you rebuild." I began to understand that my worth wasn't tied to Ryan or our marriage. I was enough just as I was. But healing isn't a straight line. Some days I'd see a couple holding hands and the pain would hit me like a wave. I'd remember Ryan's laugh, his green eyes, the way he'd call me babe. I'd wonder if he was happy with Jessica, if he ever thought of me. Those thoughts hurt, but I was learning to let them pass. One night I got a call from Ryan. It was late, almost midnight. His voice was shaky. "Emma," he said, "I messed up. I miss you." My heart stopped. Part of me wanted to run to him, to believe he'd changed. But another part, the stronger part, remembered the lies, the pain, the nights I cried myself to sleep. "I'm sorry, Ryan," I said, "but I can't do this again." I hung up, my hands trembling. It was the hardest thing I'd ever done, but it felt right. The next year was about rediscovery. I was 29, single, and learning who I was without Ryan. I started running in the mornings, feeling the wind on my face, my feet pounding the pavement. It made me feel alive. I took a painting class, splashing colors on a canvas, laughing when I made a mess. I traveled to New York with Mia, just the two of us, eating street hot dogs and seeing Broadway shows. For the first time in years, I felt free. My writing group became my family. We'd meet every week, sharing stories and poems. One day I read a piece about my divorce, raw and honest. When I finished, the room was quiet. Then they clapped, tears in their eyes. "That was beautiful, Emma," one woman said. "You're so strong." I didn't feel strong, but their words gave me courage. I started a blog, Emma's Words, where I wrote about my life, heartbreak, healing, hope. People commented, saying my stories helped them feel less alone. "I went through a divorce too," one woman wrote. "Your words give me strength." Knowing I was helping others made my pain feel like it had a purpose. At the bookstore, I got promoted to manager. I loved helping customers find the perfect book, seeing their faces light up. I started a book club where we'd talk about stories and life. One member, a guy named Ethan, caught my eye. He was quiet, with kind brown eyes and a shy smile. He loved sci-fi novels and always had a joke ready. We started talking more, grabbing coffee after meetings. He made me laugh, and for the first time, I felt a flutter in my heart that wasn't tied to Ryan. But I was scared. What if I got hurt again? What if Ethan wasn't who he seemed? I told Dr. Patel about it. "Love is a risk," she said. "But so is living. You're stronger now, Emma. Trust yourself. I decided to take it slow. Ethan was patient, never pushing me. We'd go for walks, talk about books, share small moments. It wasn't fireworks like with Ryan. It was softer, steadier, real. One day, I got an email from a magazine. They'd read my blog and wanted me to write a column about life after divorce. I cried when I read it, tears of joy. My dream of being a writer was coming true. I said yes, and soon my words were in print, reaching thousands of people. It felt like a miracle, but life loves surprises. One evening, I was at the bookstore when Ryan walked in. My heart stopped. He looked older, tired. "Emma," he said, his voice soft. "Can we talk?" I wanted to say no, to run, but something made me stay. We sat in the back, surrounded by books. He told me he and Jessica had broken up. He said he'd made a mistake, that he still loved me. "I want you back," he said. I looked at him, the man I'd once loved more than anything. But I didn't feel the same. I saw the lies, the pain, the years I'd spent rebuilding. "Ryan," I said, "I forgive you. But I don't love you anymore." His eyes filled with tears, but he nodded. "I'm proud of you, Emma," he said. And then he left. Now, at 32, I'm sitting in my apartment writing this story for you. The rain outside is slowing, and the sun is peeking through the clouds. I'm not the girl I was at 22, full of dreams and blind love. I'm stronger, wiser, and a little scarred. But those scars tell a story of pain, yes, but also of growth. I'm still writing for the magazine, and my blog has grown. I get emails from women all over, saying my words helped them heal. I'm grateful for that. Ethan and I are dating now, taking it one day at a time. He's kind, honest, and makes me feel safe. I don't know if he's my forever, but I'm okay with that. I'm learning to live in the moment. Looking back, I regret marrying Ryan. Not because he was a bad person, but because I lost myself trying to save us. I ignored the signs, silenced my doubts, and gave too much of my heart. But that regret taught me something. I'm worth more than someone else's lies. I'm worth love that lifts me up, not tears me down. To my viewers, here's my advice. Trust your heart, but listen to your gut. If something feels wrong, it probably is. You are enough just as you are. Heartbreak hurts, but it doesn't define you. It's a chapter, not the whole story. Keep going, keep growing, and never stop believing in yourself. You're stronger than you know. If you're watching this, thank you for being here. Share your story in the comments. I read everyone. Subscribe for more stories, and let's keep learning and growing together. Until next time, take care of your heart.